Welcome back, I'm Alistair, and this is the Hoka Cielo X1 2. The Cielo X1 2 then is really a lightweight, very aggressive racing shoe for race day or speed training, and it's really for runners who want to run as fast as they can with a performance oriented shoe. Now that's a little bit different to the previous version, which I have here. More on that in just a moment. It's really best suited to those who like to naturally drive their stride forward, and what I mean by that is really open up their stride but also increase their cadence. And that's really down to this lightweight platform that you've got with the Hoka Cielo X1 2. And what sets it apart? Well, it's lighter than it was before. It still has that really aggressive rocker geometry, which makes the ride fantastic. The cushioning is really responsive, and overall it just makes the run a lot more focused and a lot more speed oriented. Before I get into my performance review, I'm going to quickly go over the key specifications of the Hoka Cielo X1 2, just to give you a broader understanding of what the shoe's all about. First off, it costs $275. I will let you know if it's worth that price tag by the end of this review. They weigh 7.2 ounces or 204 grams. They have a drop of 7mm from heel to toe. And the midsole has a dual density PEBA foam, meaning it is more squishy in areas where it's needed, and then firmer and more responsive where you need to get the responsive takeoff, which would be in the forefoot. So softer under the heel, more propulsive and responsive under the forefoot. It has that really aggressive rocker geometry, which is different to the previous version, and that does actually create a very different ride to this shoe. But I will go over how it compares to the Cielo X1 very shortly for those who are looking to upgrade. And of course it has a carbon fiber plate, which happens to be winged, which gives the shoe a little bit extra stability, and it is incredibly propulsive, so there's a lot of energy return going into here when you flex. The shoe goes wild. The engineered jacquard mesh is very breathable, conforms to your feet. I absolutely love the collars and the heel counter, which in my opinion has been improved. The outsole has very sticky rubber. It's in all the places where you need it. There are of course exposed areas of foam on the outsole. When it comes to extra technologies, well, Hoka is using their speed-centric Meta rocker in here, which is the geometry and the shape of the rocker in the midsole to help give you that really nice smooth transition from midfoot to toe takeoff. And there is a forefoot-focused active foot frame, which gives the shoe a little bit more stability and support at the forefoot. When it comes to sizing and fit, the shoe does run true to size, and it has a medium width, but it is slightly narrower than the previous version. So it's not one of those crazy narrow super shoes that you might have come to expect if you've tried on a lot of different race day super shoes. It's not that narrow, but it's narrower than the previous Cielo X1. That goes for the toe box as well. It's very much average width in there. There's a little bit of room for toe wiggle. Really good fit. Love what they've done with the Cielo X1 too. If you're enjoying this review, please give the video a like, share it with a friend, and be sure to comment on this video. It really helps my channel if you do that. I really appreciate it. And just lets me know you're watching, you're engaged, and you're enjoying my content. So just put anything down there. Say hello. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what type of running you do. Write me a poem, anything. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more running shoe reviews just like this one. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you get notified as soon as new shoe reviews drop. If you're not familiar with my channel, I always keep my reviews genuine, honest, and as insightful as possible to help you decide whether the shoe I'm reviewing is going to be best for you and your needs. But if at any point you've got a question that I haven't answered, or you're just not sure where to start, let me know that question. Let me know your circumstances, what kind of running you want to do, what training you're into, and I'll get you hooked up with the best running shoes for you. Well, congratulations, you've made it to my performance review. I'm going to start by going over the midsole and the ride that this geometry gives, this geometry and dual density PEBA foam, because that's really what's the most incredible feature in this shoe. It is very different to the previous version, which I will explain how it differs in just a moment. The midsole is super bouncy. This dual density PEBA foam means that you get a nice bit of cushioning when you land, but the ride isn't unstable, so you still got a nice stable ride, but you get a lot of cushioning. And then the carbon fiber plate activates really well. It's not overly stiff like the Alpha Fly 3, for example. If I try and flex that, it's so much harder to flex. So it gives a really nice comfortable ride, but you still get to store enough energy to get a really nice propulsive forward propulsion when you're running. So I really like how effortless it feels, and that's coming from the flex and the shape of the plate, but also the dual density foam, which has so much bounce and longevity. If you're not familiar with PEBA foam, it is one of the best foam technologies out there right now because it is just so responsive whilst giving you a good amount of cushioning. It's a special foam for sure. And it's expensive, which is why you'll see it on a lot of the more premium expensive running shoes out there. The rocker geometry really helps contribute to that smooth transition midfoot landing, forefoot takeoff. It's not the best shoe if you do heel strike. This was something I loved about the Hoka Cielo X1, the previous version, was it felt like a really nice, comfortable shoe for, I'd say, middle of the pack runners, all the way back to the end of a pack, because it allowed for you to kind of sit back if you got tired, and it allowed you to land more towards the heel, which is really nice if you're a heavier runner or if you just need to lay off the pace because you're getting tired for whatever reason, you haven't put your training in maybe, naughty naughty. Then it's nice having a shoe where you can just lay off the pace and just take it easy for a little bit whilst you recover. This one you just can't do that as much because, for one thing, it's narrower at the midfoot and the heel, but also where the rocker initiates is completely different. So when you're actually just standing in these shoes, you're not moving at all, the rocker does almost feel like it's rocking you backwards. That's very different from the Hoka Cielo X1 that came before it. And what that means is the Cielo X1 2 really wants you to be in a forward leaning stance. That's how this new rocker has been tuned, meaning it's going to be better for runners who are leaning a lot more aggressively forward and wanting to strike on their more towards the forefoot basically, but you can get away with the midfoot landing. So it's really for those who can keep up that fast pace for longer. They're the ones who are really going to benefit from the Hoka Cielo X1 too. I hope that all made sense. It does inside my head anyway. Overall, it does make this a faster running shoe. It just means it's not as suitable for that wide range of ability runners. That also brings some instability issues because it is narrower, it has a narrower footprint underfoot. You can see there's a lot of width under the forefoot, which does make it again very much tailored for a forefoot runner. So that's where all the stability comes from, the wide forefoot. Basically what I'm trying to say is this shoe is much more race tuned for faster runners. The runners who want a lightweight running shoe that's incredibly bouncy, has a nice aggressive rocker, and stability and performance under the forefoot. Now when it comes to the jacquard mesh upper, it's very breathable, very durable as well, and it conforms to your feet really nicely, and I do like this new collar design and heel counter. It's just that much more comfortable for running longer distances or for running for longer times. So overall the upper, it's easier to slip on than the previous version as well. And Hoka's done a really good job of just doing a nice traditional style lacing system and upper for the most part. It just works. I love it. When it comes to the outsole, once again, there's plenty of traction around the forefoot, but really not much towards the heel. And this is another feature leading me to the conclusion that it is much more finely tuned for racers who are fast. Racers who are running that whole marathon, or 10K, anything in between, on their forefoot and hardly ever touching the heel here. Overall then, it is just a fantastic, fast running shoe. I've been using it for a lot of my speed training sessions. I haven't had the chance to race in it yet because I wanted to get my review out, but I can tell you it's damn fast. It's very lightweight, super comfortable, and really if you are looking to run as fast as you can in a marathon and you have trained, you've followed one of the Trail and Kale training plans, for example. If you haven't, then you totally should. There's a link up there and description to go download your training plan now. If you've followed your training plan and you're able to push the pace throughout your entire marathon, then this shoe is going to be really good for you. Okay, now this is the most exciting part for me because this is where I'm going to compare the Hoka Cielo X1 to the Hoka Cielo X1 that came before it. This is how they look in comparison. Now I'm going to call out the 3 things that I didn't like with the Hoka Cielo X1 because the Hoka Cielo X1 2 has fixed all those issues. And while overall I think it's made it a better shoe, it has changed the ride and changed a few things. The first thing that I didn't like too much about the version 1 was the laces. Might sound like a bit of a trivial thing, but actually these laces, because they're quite plasticky, I've never really experienced a lace quite like this before in a pair of running shoes. They're quite plasticky, so they do tend to come undone when you're running. I put a lot of miles in these shoes, probably over 100 miles now, because I've been doing a lot of my speed training sessions in them. I absolutely love these shoes just because they're so fast and they're so fun to run in. So I've had a lot of experience with this shoe. I would have to double lace these laces or do them up so tight that they just wouldn't come undone. So there was a fix, but laces on the new version are more traditional and they're just much better. They do up and they stay done up. The next thing that I called out a little bit was the comfort of the heel counter. Now, although this never became a problem and never gave me any blisters or any rubbing, it was something that you could feel. And so it's nice to see a more traditional articulated heel counter on the new version, making it just feel a bit more normal and comfortable for long runs. And then the third thing was something that a lot of people called this shoe out on, and that was the weight. It was 8.9 ounces before, which is quite heavy for a super shoe, but it's now 7.2 ounces. That's a lot lighter, so Hoka clearly listened to the majority of people, myself included, when we said it's a bit too heavy for a super shoe. But again, because this shoe allowed for a much wider range of runners, heavier runners, slower runners, runners who wanted to sit back on the heel because they're tired, which sometimes I like to do when I'm out there running longer distances. I like to just sit back a little bit, lay off the speed just a touch and cruise for a little bit whilst I recover whilst running. So I absolutely love the fact it's stable underfoot and the rocker initiates really well throughout the shoe. Whereas the rocker on this one, you really have to be leaning more forward to be able to get the benefits of it. What I'm trying to say is the Cielo X1 really suits a whole gamut of runners, from even the more beginner runners who just want to run as fast as they can in a race or in training sessions, all the way up to elite runners, faster runners who don't mind a heavier shoe for the benefits of such a really well-positioned rocker, bouncy midsole and carbon fiber plate. This shoe is fantastic. It's just really good for so many runners. The Cielo X1 2, on the other hand, is much more lightweight, slightly narrower, more race-tuned, and more aggressive to some degree, really for runners who want to just push the pace as much as they can. And they're capable of running more on the forefoot and towards the toe throughout the entirety of a race, because the shoe doesn't quite have the same level of stability towards the heel or the rocker initiation benefits. Wow, I'm glad I got all that off my chest because I've been thinking about these differences for quite a while now, so it's nice to actually put it all out there into words. If you've got any questions about something that I didn't mention right there about how this one's different, then just let me know in the comments down below and I'll be happy to help. You've made it to my final verdict. Is it worth $275? Well, yes, it is. Definitely worth that money. It's a very different shoe to the Hoka Cielo X1. I think a lot of people who are in the market to buy a $275 race day shoe are really going to like these updates because firstly, they're going to see the weight on paper and they're going to be like, yes, finally, it's light. It's as it should be for a carbon plated super race day shoe. And they might not be thinking about all those things I said in terms of how it compares to the previous version. But that lightweight design and the fact you've got this more aggressive forward-leaning rocker and a very comfortable upper, these updates are fantastic. Hoka's done a great job. They've just made a very different shoe. They could have very easily called this something other than the Cielo X1 in my opinion. So I am interested to see how they cover the bases for a super shoe that caters to a wider range of runners, because I thought that's what really made the Hoka Cielo X1 so special, in my opinion, was that it was one of the very few race day shoes that actually suited a huge array of runners, and I didn't see many other brands doing that, maybe Saucony. So I do hope they create another shoe that's very similar to the Hoka Cielo X1, but maybe call it something else. So yes, if you're in the market for a super shoe, which they do tend to cost around $250 to $300, so it's not overly expensive at all. It's worth the money. You're getting what you pay for with this one in terms of performance and comfort. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this review. Once again, if you did, please give a video a like, share it with a friend. Comment down below, just say anything. It really helps my channel if you do that. But of course, it would be nice if you said something that was legible and made sense. Maybe say hello. If you haven't introduced yourself yet, just say hi, I'm a real person. And I really do appreciate it when my watchers, my followers, do engage with me because it's nice to get to know some of you. And finally, subscribe to my channel for more running shoe reviews just like this one. And be sure to hit that notification bell because that will then notify you as soon as my videos get published. And then you'll be up to date. You'll be the most up-to-date person with the best running shoe knowledge out there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.